Hey everybody, Tony D. Going to do a screenwriter tips here because I'm a little pressed for time and these videos load up much faster than my phone videos, which look amazing. And that's why I bought this phone and hardly ever use it anymore. Anyhow, I wanted to talk about risk versus research. I came up with this term the other night while arguing with someone in the comments over the Elvis movie. Little Joan, by the way, is on the couch just barking her little head off. I can't deal with her today, so check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble. Check out the books, blah, blah, blah. So, risk versus research. The Elvis movie is kind of an example of what I'm talking about. And I got a bunch of Elvis fans furious in my comments because, God forbid, I got a few of the salient facts wrong about Elvis, which I'm sure I did. I didn't memorize Elvis's whole life. I just know what I knew from the news reports at that time. I'm not an Elvis expert. I never claimed to be. Like most people, I believe that Elvis died on the toilet. He was fat towards the end. He had a drug problem. All the basics, and that's most modern audiences too. If they even know who Elvis is. He's pretty old. He's pretty far back in the past at this point. But anyhow, they were going on and on about, oh my God, how dare you criticize this wonderful looking movie because, man, it looks like exactly like Memphis from that era, and I'm a music historian, and I happen to know this. Well, great. It'll be a great movie for you, maybe, assuming they didn't, just do really great art direction and ignore everything else, which is a possibility, by the way. But doing research into that time period, yeah, it's great. Okay, so you go back, and this is what I said in my comment. You go back and you say, okay, we got some pictures of in this case, it was a carnival that I guess Elvis performed at or hung out at, where he met Tom Parker, maybe. This is in the 50s, like this was the kind of thing. You'd go to the amusement park, there'd be a dance, it might be live music. So that's how my parents met. They were at an amusement park, they met at a dance. They don't have them anymore. So Elvis, they're going on and on how great this looks. That's fine, that's great. Baz Luhrmann, the director, maybe did the research. It's also possible the art department did all that research. Baz read about the carnival and just said, oh yeah, we're going to put the carnival in. Yeah, go do some research about that so it looks okay. And the art department went nuts. And they really nailed it. Good on them. But you're talking about a carnival that took place in the 50s. That was 70 years ago. For anybody to be old enough to remember that carnival and seeing it would have to be an Elvis fan, would at least probably be in their 60s or 70s at least. At least. Okay? That's not who is generally the movie-going public. Will they go see it? Yeah. A few older people might go see this movie. In fact, it would appeal to older people. But, just because you did that and just because they're going to recognize it doesn't mean that has an appeal for most people who don't really know the life of Elvis. It's almost wasted effort. For most people seeing that scene, they're going to go, oh yeah, there's a carnival. Okay, now what? That's their reaction. They want to be entertained first. Now, yeah, there are some movie buffs that'll go back and go, wow, that was the carnival, and that was the real carnival. Look at these pictures. They look just like the movie. Yeah, amazing. They shot it in Australia, apparently. They didn't even shoot it in Memphis. Good on them. They made it look great. They did the same thing in the Sopranos movie, The Many Saints of Newark. Did it help the movie? Not one bit. In fact, it annoyed me because that overproduced scene with the Newark riots, was a distraction from what I wanted to see in the movie. I wanted to see Tony Soprano and why he became the gangster he eventually becomes. If you're going to do a damn prequel, which I'm not too fond of. Now, in this case, you got a biopic, so you don't have the flexibility of a narrative that you could just make up. But, this is part of exploring Elvis's origin and his relationship with Colonel Tom Parker. And so doing all that research is great, but did it get you anything? Is it going to make people go see the damn movie? I don't think so. Not too many. Yeah, a handful of musician historians and Elvis experts their minds are going to be blown. A handful of elderly people, if they even see the trailer on YouTube, if they can even work a computer, maybe. Certainly some of the older executives who are like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, Elvis was big in my day. I'm about to retire. That's a pretty small audience. Will the general public? Will some guy in his 30s? Some guy in his 30s was born in the 90s. Okay? He may not even know who Elvis was. Elvis had been dead 20 years by the time he was even born. So, does he know who Elvis is? I'm sure he heard of him. I'm sure he heard of Graceland and saw something on the Simpsons rerun where they did Elvis shooting the TV parody, and that's been done a million times. I'm sure he's generally aware of Elvis, but he certainly doesn't know beyond the facts I mentioned earlier in this video, if he knows any facts at all. Certainly any of the kids who would go see a movie, they have zero interest in this. Okay, I have two nephews. They're about college age. They're not going to see Elvis. They're not going to go see that movie. You know, maybe one of them would because he's interested in music. Maybe he'd go see that movie. But most kids, no. So what do you gain? You have to weigh the research versus the reward. Did they gain anything by that? Is the interaction between Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker and I forget who's playing Elvis, is that enhanced by the set? No. If they just had made some generic carnival in Australia and completely ignored those pictures, it'd be the same damn movie to 90% of the audience. They're just spending a lot of money. Yeah. And okay, maybe it'll be so good, it'll be almost documentary-like in its attention to detail. That doesn't mean the script's that way, you know? And they mention the line, and I got blasted for this, like, you know, he says something like, this is about us, when he hears about the MLK assassination, and people went on and on, oh no, Elvis was very concerned about the black community and MLK. Maybe, I don't know. No, but most people don't know. Most people don't know the impact MLK had. He's another figure that's far in the past. MLK was assassinated like now 60 years ago? 50? It's a long time. Most of these people weren't alive to understand the impact. This is Hollywood retreading and retreading and retreading and retreading and retreading and retreading and retreading. Okay? And when they put that little snippet in there, in this woke atmosphere we've got going on here in Hollywood, that to me is a red flag. That to me is a red flag. They're going to go down the path, oh yeah, even Elvis was woke. Now, is that the case? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it is. And maybe it's even a little bit true that Elvis was secretly trying to champion black people his entire life. I don't know. What I do know is he seemed to be a big fan of Richard Nixon. So, I mean, and then somebody came back in the comments, he wasn't a fan, he just wanted to get that FBI badge. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you could read the mind of Elvis Presley after he's been dead for like over 50 years. 50 years? No, it hasn't been that long. 40 years. Over 40 years. Who knows? Maybe he was a mixed bag. And that was probably most likely. He probably had plenty of friends in Memphis who were black. He was in the music community. I'm sure he knew lots of black people, and I'm sure he was fine with them because he was an entertainer, he was more progressive, and he probably, you know, played with a lot of these guys. So yeah, of course, he'd be totally bummed out. Everybody was bummed out about MLK, not just Elvis. But let's not overstate what he is. And that's the problem with putting politics in your movie. It's going to skew everything, okay? Unless it's about that. That's not about that. It's not about that era. It's about Elvis. Should be. Yeah, okay. The death of MLK, I'm sure it impacted Elvis. I'm sure it impacted him. But what impacted him more is the question. Probably his personal life, probably drugs. You know, like I said, I don't think Elvis took care of himself very well towards the end. At that point, he was a big star. I mean, you got so much money and fame, and you know, and the drugs at that time, and this is really the issue. The drugs at that time were around, people were addicts, but they hid it, and you know, it wasn't like an open thing like it is today. Like today, they know more about drugs and how you can get addicted, right? Back then it was like, oh no, take these drugs, they're cool, they'll keep you up, you know, and then you get addicted to methamphetamines and nobody knew what to do other than be ashamed and hide it and keep taking it. So, and it messed you up mentally. To be a drug addict is messed up. It messes you mentally. So to me, that's more of an angle, but I'm not making a movie, so whatever. It's supposed to be about Colonel Tom Parker, and eventually, I think Tom Parker, didn't he die before Elvis did? I think he did. So I don't know. And look, I called Elvis a genius in my initial video. He was a genius. He was a genius entertainer. Watch Jailhouse Rock. He's great. He's great in it. His songs are great. He's a great singer. I love old Elvis. Old Elvis being, you know, young Elvis, young skinny Elvis. Later, not so much. I don't like the ballads. That's just me. That's just me. But other people are like that too. You have to understand the association these ballads had. This was the late 70s. He's singing, he's singing these big ballads. That was the 70s. That music was music of its time. It was boring for a kid like me. I hated it. I hated disco. I hated ballads. I hated rock operas. I hated all that crap. A lot of people still share that. You know, some people don't. Some people like that stuff. Some of it's not that bad. But tastes change. And for Elvis, to make a movie about Elvis now, you know, especially since, like, after he died, there was documentary after documentary after TV show after TV show about Elvis. It's been done to death. Back then, is it time to do another movie now? Okay, sure. They've done a bunch of different movies about Elvis and, you know, his life and whatever. He had a bunch of different, and they haven't done it in a while. Sure, trot out Elvis one more time. I don't care. But doing a bunch of cool production stuff doesn't necessarily help the movie. You need to have a new angle, and they're not in my view, they didn't show it in that. So when we talk about research versus reward, the research has to give you something new, like really new. There's nothing new here about Elvis. He still dies. he's still who he was. All right, you're going to give us a slightly different version of him where maybe he's not so fat, maybe he's not such a drug addict towards the end, maybe the media overspun it a little bit. Okay, sure, but that's not a very big distinction. You know, revealing that, I don't know, he was secretly religious all that time, or somebody wrote a book and uncovered that he was, I don't know, believed in aliens or whatever, that might be something, but that's probably not going to happen. This is going to be yet another biopic, and it's the marketing people going to be trying to go hard to get you to go watch it because, oh, now it's about Colonel Tom Parker and Tom Hanks. Maybe the movie should have been called Parker. Maybe it should have been all more about him because, and understand that Tom Hanks is the draw here. He's the big star. So, not that the actor they got doing Elvis, I mean, he looks the part, but Tom Hanks is the big name. So they want to give Tom stuff to do. Tom wants to do certain things. He doesn't want to do certain things. He may not want to do an uncomfortable scene about Tom Parker's life. I don't know. I know nothing of Colonel Tom Parker other than he was Elvis's manager or whatever for a long time. Maybe he did something terrible at one point. Maybe Tom Hanks doesn't want to portray that. Okay? Or maybe they do a softened version of it. Maybe he was always a great guy. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. The further we get away from it, the harder it is to see. And I can only tell you what I saw back in the day. And what I saw was on TV. It was in newspapers. And I didn't even follow it that closely because I was like 12. So You know, when it comes to research, yeah, you could do this research, but it only gets you so much. At the end of the day, it's all about the story. It's all about, am I entertained? West Side Story, classic musical movie. They remake it. It's a total bomb. Why? Because you just didn't need to make it. It didn't matter. They had amazing art direction in the damn thing. The visuals looked stunning. The streets, all the signs in the background with the old-timey advertisements look great. Looked great in The Sopranos. The Many Saints of Newark. Looks great in Elvis. So what? If the movie doesn't entertain, all that's a waste of money. It's all bells and whistles. It's sound and fury signifying nothing, as they say. So you need things that drive the story forward. Just because you got the exact model car that Elvis actually drove in a movie, doesn't matter. People are willing to overlook it if it's, it was the most entertaining movie. Oh yeah, but the car was wrong. Yeah, but I'll forgive it. That's what happens. You are more forgiving of a movie that's entertaining. If nobody sees this damn movie, if the movie flops and nobody sees it, then you've wasted all that. Then you've basically said, all that research was for naught. The story's first. Yes, you have to do research to write the story, especially on a biopic. But you also got to get people to see the damn movie. So maybe this is the wrong time for Elvis to come back again. Maybe this isn't the moment. Maybe it's time to do something new. Maybe there are, more people that will connect. Because otherwise, who is this movie for? The octogenarians who came up with Elvis? They don't see movies all that much. They can see through this. They remember Elvis however they remember him. They don't need your damn movie. Is it for music historians? Well, all 10 of them will be very happy on some aspects, but I'm sure they'll pick it apart in other aspects. When they did Johnny Cash, one of the reasons it was a good movie is it was a real, first off, Cash, they haven't done a lot of movies about Johnny Cash. Second, they had an amazing performance by Joaquin Phoenix, and he actually sang. That was the focus, right? The music. Okay, yeah, I want to see if Joaquin Phoenix can sing this stuff. I want to see and he's the kind of guy, like, he's willing to do stuff. I don't know if Tom Hanks, he's a big movie star. Is he willing to do the hard things? He's got an image of pretty squeaky clean image. And did anybody really give a crap about Colonel Parker at the end of the day? Maybe some people did, but really it's all about Elvis anyway. So you got the big star playing the side character. It kind of distorts the movie a little bit. It's not just about, people got to see it. If people don't see it, all your research is for naught. It's for naught. And the research's got to make the movie better. How does all this set stuff make the movie better? I just don't see it. Okay? I'm not saying don't do research. I'm saying research is just an aspect, and it only gets you so far. Anyhow, that's my screenwriting tip for today. I got to get out of here, and check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for more bass takes. We'll see you tomorrow.